President Donald Trump's trade war with China has left a trail of economic wreckage across American industries from soybean farms to auto manufacturers. But as the Trump administration sends signals about a potential trade deal with Beijing, one iconic American company is poised to emerge from the bruising conflict in a better position than most: Apple. Under CEO Tim Cook, Apple has kept its China-manufactured iPhones off the list of Chinese imports that Trump has slapped with roughly $250 billion in tariffs. That puts the Cupertino, California-based electronics giant in an enviable position compared with other sectors caught in the crossfire, thanks in part to efforts by the soft-spoken, 58-year-old Cook to cultivate leaders in both countries. Story continued below. In the U.S., Cook has made a point of directly engaging with Trump, even as the president's immigration policies and remarks about minorities have scared off other executives from liberal-leaning Silicon Valley. In China, Cook, who knows some Mandarin, has actively cultivated government and business leaders during his frequent visits to a country where Apple's supply chain supports an estimated 3 million jobs. Among the tech titans, he's probably the one who is best placed to deal with both sides at the same time, said James Lewis, a former State and Commerce Department official who dealt with China trade issues and now directs the Technology Policy Program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Apple, he said, is respected in the U.S. as one of the country's most valuable companies, and is viewed in China as being more impartial and independent than other American firms. Cook's finesse in navigating the divide was tested as never before in January when Apple lowered its quarterly revenue projections, in part due to the softening of the Chinese economy after Trump levied his sanctions. Cook told investors at the time that macroeconomic factors will come and go, but said he manages Apple for the long term. The company's stock price took a hit, but promptly rebounded. By signing up, you agree to receive email newsletters or alerts from Politico. You can unsubscribe at any time. Apple declined to comment for this story. Apple, like other major tech companies, had a fraught relationship with Trump during the 2016 campaign, and Apple even dropped its planned financial and technical support for the Republican National Convention because of Trump's remarks about women, immigrants and minorities. Since the election, however, Cook has taken a pragmatic approach, saying business leaders can more effectively shape policy by engaging with the administration. Cook has approached the White House in a number of ways, from talking trade with Trump in the Oval Office last April to dining with the President and First Lady Melania Trump in August at Trump's golf course in Bedminster, NJ. He maintains frequent contact with White House officials like economic advisor Larry Kudlow, and joined the president's daughter Ivanka Trump on a visit to an Idaho schoolroom in November to highlight technology in education. Such engagement marks a sharp contrast with other tech executives. Though there are exceptions like IBM's Ginni Rometty and Oracle's Safra Catz, most tech CEOs have distanced themselves from the president out of fear their liberal workforce might revolt. Amazon and Facebook, for instance, have generally sent lower-level officials to White House functions. Tesla CEO Elon Musk and then Uber CEO Travis Kalanick both backed out of presidential advisory roles after backlash over Trump's policies. The Apple CEO's willingness to meet personally with Trump and his aides, rather than send other executives to deal with the White House, has benefited the company, according to an administration official familiar with the CEO's tactics. "I'll take the meeting, and in some regards, take the risk," the official said. "A meeting with POTUS is a pretty fluid environment. The risk paid off." Part of the key to Cook's success in dealing with Trump, Kudlow and others in the administration is that he talks to them as business peers, the official said. He says, "You're a successful business guy. We know how hard this public policy stuff is. Help me continue to run this successful American company," and that appeals to them, the official said. He's managed to forge relationships with senior folks and made a strong impression on them, and it shows in some public policy choices that were made and were not made. Trump imposed tariffs on a broad swath of goods made in China in September. The list no longer included smartwatches and Bluetooth speakers, two technologies that Apple had urged the U.S. Trade Representative to drop from an earlier draft list of targets. Administration officials denied giving preferential treatment to the company, though the change reduced Apple's exposure to the escalating trade conflict. Apple could face future threats if the latest trade talks fail. Trump has previously threatened to impose tariffs on the remaining $267 billion worth of Chinese imports, a move that would hit the iPhone and other gadgets. That could make the company's already costly flagship product even more expensive, which could in turn depress sales among a customer base that's already showing less interest in upgrades. But Trump has substantially softened his tone on tariffs in recent weeks as trade talks showed signs of progress. Last weekend, he indefinitely postponed a hike in tariffs from 10 to 25% that was slated to start March 2nd. Cook has been equally active in working the Chinese side. During a 4-day trip to China in October, the Apple CEO's itinerary included a meeting with Li Qiang, secretary of the Chinese Communist Party in Shanghai. Then in Beijing, he was one of several U.S. business leaders to shake hands with Chinese Vice President Wang Qishan on the sidelines of an advisory board meeting for Tsinghua University's business school. Just as Cook is trying to keep Apple from getting ensnared in the Trump tariffs, he wants to avoid any potentially damaging backlash from China. Some American exporters have reported that Chinese authorities are slowing the customs processing of their products with unannounced inspections and inexplicable shipment rejections. But taking aim at Apple would not be such a simple proposition for Chinese officials, due to the harm that could cause China's economy. Apple counts about 10,000 employees in China and is responsible for more than 3 million jobs there through its supply chains, according to the company. Nearly half the factories run by Apple suppliers are in mainland China, from major metropolises like Beijing, Shanghai and Shenzhen to smaller cities like Taizhou and Dongguan. A decline in Apple sales puts financial pressure on their businesses. Any collapse in the supply chain will lead to increasing unemployment, especially in China's most densely populated regions like the Yangtze River Delta and Pearl River Delta, said Cao Zhangshang, executive director of New Economy Studies at China Development Institute, a Shenzhen-based think tank. The high unemployment may result in social chaos. The strain already placed on Apple's bottom line was made clear in January, when the company informed investors that revenue from company's first fiscal 2019 quarter, which ended Dec. 29, would be several $billion below expectations. Cook pointed to the trade war as a key factor in dampening demand in the Chinese market. What I believe to be the case is the trade tensions between the United States and China put additional pressure on their economy, Cook told CNBC on Jan. 2. Trump's reaction to the resulting plunge in Apple's share price underscored the political tightrope Cook has been walking amid the trade tensions. After predicting that Apple is going to be fine, the president said in a White House news conference that, "I told Tim Cook, who's a friend of mine who I like a lot, make your product in the United States. Build those big beautiful plants that go on for miles." That harkened back to Trump's criticism of Apple, dating back to the 2016 campaign trail, for manufacturing iPhones in China. Trump has pushed Apple, along with other major companies, to bring jobs back from overseas as part of his Make America Great Again mantra. In a 2017 interview, the president even promised Apple would build 3 big plants in the U.S. A claim he's repeated on several occasions, though the company has never confirmed that. Still, Apple has made some domestic investment plans, pledging in early 2018 to pump $350 billion into the U.S. economy over 5 years, including via a new corporate campus near Austin. The company touted that figure, a mixture of new and previously planned spending, shortly after Trump's tax overhaul cleared Congress, paving the way for Apple to repatriate billions of dollars in overseas money at a lower tax rate. Kudlow said in September that Cook thanked Trump for the tax legislation during an Oval Office visit, adding that the Apple CEO has given us some good advice on trade with China. He declined to elaborate. Apple is giving Tim Cook a stage on which to advocate on behalf of a lot of industries that are getting wrapped up in a trade war that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, said Mark Bush, who served as an advisor to the U.S. Trade Representative and now teaches international business diplomacy at Georgetown University. It does, at times, take a Tim Cook and Apple to get the kind of attention that can be heard above the political noise, he said. Adam Bessity contributed to this report. Jump to sidebar section.